I'm Barry Henderson. I'm the president and CEO of AES Technology Corporation, and we manufacture the radar system. Since 1994, we've been manufacturing the world's best sounding, most reliable, easiest to use hard disk recorder systems. We also now manufacture the ADA, which is the world's first touchscreen display controllable 24-channel converter in a box with built-in MADI interface, as well as a optional Pro Tools interface. And this is something that our customers have been asking us for years. Everybody always wonders, how do they get the sound of radar in their Pro Tools system or Logic or Nuendo system? And they often buy a radar just for the purpose of using it as a front end for Pro Tools, but it ends up costing them more, and it's not fully bidirectional, so you end up having to have two radars to get full 24 in and 24 out simultaneous. So they've been bugging us for the last 5 years, and we finally said we got to do this. So then we put our heads together and we produced the ADA. I'll just turn it around so you can see the back panel. It's got a dual Pro Tools interface on the back. You can actually have one Pro Tools interface for two boxes, so you can have up to 48 channels on this one Pro Tools interface. It uses our own proprietary MADI board for all of our routing. The system comes complete with a full routing system. It syncs to video, word clock, video black as well, for film applications, scoring stage applications, AES and SPDIF sync. You also have an ADAT option if you want to have an ADAT interface. You can configure it in blocks of 8 channels in or 8 channels out for up to 24 channels in and out. You can also buy license keys so that if you want to have less than 8 in or less than 24 in or out, and then you can buy the license key down the road so you don't have to take the hardware apart to enable those I/O. On the front, we've got a high-resolution touchscreen display which displays all 48 meters simultaneously, 24 ins, 24 outs. And if you take a look over here at the display, you can still see your input or output meters while getting all your setup. You can select your sync, your sample rate. We've also got all the pull-down rates supported here, and your digital I/O. You've got a full router, so I can route, say, for example, channel 1 to outputs 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then these channels are now all reflecting the inputs on channel 1. I can go back and reset the routing. So it's a very, very simple user interface. Now, we always have people ask us, what is it about our converters that make good sound quality? We start with the power supply. The power supply is probably the least talked about thing. People talk about converter chips and clocks, but they very seldom talk about power supply. We have a proprietary analog power supply, completely separate digital power supply. They're kept completely isolated. If you look on the back, there's a little grounding strap that's been on every radar. There's also now an ADA. You can completely isolate the analog and digital grounds if there's any grounding issues. And you want to get as absolute clean as possible sound and power within your system. Our power supply is very high common mode rejection ratio, very low ripple. And if you don't start with clean power in a converter, it doesn't matter how many thousands of dollars you spend on the converter, on the clock, the power that's supplying analog power to those converters, if it has any noise at all in it, then that's going to get into your digital audio. Very, very important. Also, the clock is extremely important. A lot of people use a BNC cable for word clock, and of course, that's a single-ended cable with an internal conductor and an external shield. the external shield is subject to noise from the environment. The noise from the environment superimposes onto the nice square word clock signal, which allows premature triggering of your A to D converter or delayed triggering. In the old days, back in the day, that didn't really matter with 48 kilohertz. In the original days of digital audio, it was fine. But in today's world, converters are so accurate and so good sounding that you need to have a very, very accurate word clock, and you have to have it completely noise immune. So consequently, in ADA and in radar, all of our word clock lines are balanced, differential, fully shielded, and we treat all our layouts as if they're microwave signals. We simulate them in the gigahertz range because, as most people know, all square waves are made up of an infinite series of sine waves. So really, even a word clock is not a digital signal. It's really an analog signal. The converters themselves use extremely expensive high slew rate op amps to ensure that we can track all the transients accurately. You can buy an op amp for 10 cents or you can spend $10 on an op amp. And the difference is going to be the slew rate. And that's going to mean distortion in your audio if you can't track the kick drum transients or any of the transients that are in the signal. You're going to introduce distortion. And the coupling capacitors in radar and ADA are extremely high quality and low dissipation capacitors and low leakage capacitors. Over time, you're going to get the same sound. They're not going to start sounding different over the lifetime of the product. Radar is now up to version 3.50 software, so we support SATA drives, external SATA drives. We now also support transfers to and from USB 2 drives or FireWire drives that have USB 2 contained in them. And we're constantly improving the software, making it more and more compatible with workstations. So people are all the time now transferring between Pro Tools and Logic and Nuendo and other workstations. Over here, we've got a Java app that's designed to run on any computer to control the ADA. So you've got your front panel ADA meters and controls replicated. The ADA is actually running a web server application. So all you do is you go and open Firefox browser or any browser, type in the IP address of the ADA, and all of a sudden ADA's web page comes up. You click on the link and it downloads the Java app to your desktop. Voila, you can control ADA or monitor it from anywhere in your facility.